Hey there. Hey there. This is Nox with a false start. That's fine. Thank you guys for coming to our DM roundtable for the mad experience that was our Waterdeep Dragon Heist Megastream, where we all woke up out of the Matrix. We'll get to that one.
Spoilers.
Obviously, there's spoilers. You dug your own grave entering into this strain now.
It's true.
We're just going to get right into the swing of things. We're going to go for a solid hour, no breaks, because we want to answer as many questions as we possibly can. So I'm going to let our DMs introduce themselves, and I'm going to try and pull a Eugenio special.
Yes, I'm so excited.
Bring punch time.
So, Corey.
Yes. Other way.
No! Oh, fuck! Shit.
Yes, okay. I am DM Corey at DM Corey on Twitter and on Instagram as well. You can find me on Twitch at DM Corey. I'm pretty well branded at DM Corey. So if please don't litigate.
And Corey was DM for our spring team.
Spring.
Yeah. Yep. Awesome. Okay, how long can I keep this up? Okay, Dan. Go ahead and introduce yourself and what team you DM.
Yes, so I'm at MadSideDM on Twitter, which is pretty much my only main social media TTRPG presence. Here on Variant Roles, occasionally other places. And I was running the Autumn Crew.
Yes, which is what I was on. Oh God, you're trying to look up. Okay. You have to look up into the corner. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I need to go
down into your opposite side.
Eugenio, introduce yourself and DM for.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Eugenio Vargas. You can find me on Twitter at Eugenio_Vargas, spelling below me. You can find me on Instagram at Ugramio, but I don't ever post things on purpose. And I was the DM for the Winter Crew, the Monday Night Crew. You can also check out my actual play podcast, The Last Refuge, at DND Last Refuge on Twitter and Instagram.
Awesome. And then last but not least, Mr. Oh shit, this is my first time saying
It's all good.
It's Tarzan No Z. Taran.
Yeah, Taryn. Good call. Good try. Good the old college try. It's all right. My boss, after working for him for 8 months, spelled my name with 2 R's.
Oh.
So,
excellent.
Yep, that was fun. But yeah, I DM the Summer Crew on Friday nights, now known as DM Horse Garage. That's my official title inside of Variant Roles.
I want to hear that story.
That story will probably come up. But yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at Tarzan Nosy and pretty much nowhere else. So
excellent. And you were Summer, yes, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, trying to keep everybody straight. Awesome. All right, let's go ahead and just kick right into the whatever of things. All right, so I've got some questions here got them all printed out, handy dandy, to ask our beautiful DMs here. But if anybody has questions in chat that come up over the course of our discussions, please post them in chat and at me at NoxNoctua so I can see it a lot more clearly. I'm gonna be a little bit busy, between these two screens and a piece of paper. So let's start with right from the beginning, the planning phase. How you guys planned all this. So can you talk a little bit about what planning looked like and how long it took?
Sure.
Yeah.
I guess it first started as just a crazy idea that I had that I threw out into the Twitterverse, and went from there. We did start some early planning as early as relatively early in September, but then had to refine a lot because we had to wait till none of us are fortunate enough to get the books early yet, Watsy, come on. So we had to wait until that came out. So sort of I'd say the last 2 weeks of September before we went live was fast and the furious on planning in terms of plot and dividing up the villains and all of that, but before that I spent a solid 2 weeks wrangling schedules around trying to come up with groups in time slots that worked.
God bless. You think it's bad trying to schedule your own group?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a hard time with the scheduling thing, but some good apps out there that allowed us to get it all put together and figure out when we could get the players all on channels and everything. So
Yeah,
that went pretty well.
that's a lot to coordinate for sure.
We all had
Go ahead, Corey.
we all had a great discussion, I thought, about who wanted to play what villain and what season that we were going to go through. And I thought that was I thought it was extremely fortuitous that we all had the preferences to end up with the villains that we ended up with.
We did, yeah. We sort of all fell right into the villains that we ended up with. We all were very happy with who we got. And like Dan said, we had a lot of plans for how we were going to integrate the 4 teams together right from the get-go, but we basically had to revise almost all of them once we actually got a hold of the books, because we didn't know a lot of things, and we sort of misjudged how a lot of things were going to be laid out. And so a lot of our ideas for running 4 simultaneous groups sort of didn't work out like we had expected, but I think it all worked out in the end.
Yeah,
because the original idea is when we thought it was more of an actual heist,
right?
Then we thought we could really do almost competitive, with a lot of crossover. And as soon as we got the book, we're like, well, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, so that actually leads me to another question. What was some of the material you guys wanted to run but couldn't because you like either from the get-go you knew that you couldn't, or just over the course of play you're like, oh shit, we don't have time for this?
I could have lived in Troll Skull Alley for 6 months. Like, there's so much material in Chapter 2, which is all about Troll Skull Alley. It's all about the people that you can meet, about dealing with all the different guilds, about little side quests that you can go on for every possible faction, but also just other little story elements. And none of it has basically anything to do with the main plot. So unfortunately, we had to really skip over a lot of it. But there is some really, really fantastic world building stuff in that chapter in particular to really get a group going that's going to last beyond level 5 and beyond that particular adventure to help them really feel at home in Waterdeep.
I think one of the other things is kind of where we kind of had to divvy up some of the encounters to make them feel unique for each stream, so that people watching each one didn't feel like they were getting the same story with each group. They were sort of feeling like each one was its own story, but also running concurrently. So like the initial fight in the Yawning Portal, where we kind of each grabbed elements of that encounter and phased others out and then kind of coordinated in that way, really kind of, I mean, it's not that we didn't get to run the whole encounter, it was just kind of having to be intelligent about that while making sure that people watching all the streams didn't lose out. So
we had the whole glitch thing, which was fantastic, of allowing us to split up that combat throughout all 4 of the streams. So, some of maybe the Sturges would bamf out in the middle of the fight or come into the middle of a fight to show some continuity between us all. But then even towards the end, each of the villains had their own boss layer that we didn't really even touch on. So there was a lot of content that we didn't even touch.
Yeah, if I could have, I mean, echoing, obviously the chapter 2, I would have loved to have stayed in Troll Skull Alley for weeks and just interacted with all those excellent NPCs.
Yes.
Other than that, I think one of the things I would have loved is to have had the crew end up on the Hellraiser as a guest of Jarlaxle, who is the master of many disguises. So he pretends to be, was it Zardos Zav or something? Some ridiculous name. And he's in a polyamorous relationship. It's just mind blowing. I was I would have loved to have had the characters really interact with Jarlaxle more, because he's just so deliciously good.
I think Wizards has really turned a corner on that as well. Around the NPCs.
Yeah. All the NPCs felt fleshed out enough that you were I know who this person is and I can do something with them, but had enough room where you felt like you could worm your way in and sort of expand on it and really make them your own. I really big applaud to Wizards on that.
I was just going to say, this may come up in another question, so I don't want to go too much into it, but something Dan and Corey both said reminded me that in terms of the planning question that we just finished, Dan and I both mentioned that, like, we had plans and then we got the book and the plans changed. I should actually also mention that our plans changed again when Dungeon of the Mad Mage came out. We had one original idea, and it was a very similar sort of Alter Deep type ending, but it was not connected to Hallister and Undermountain. And then that came out, and there are some details in Dungeon of the Mad Mage that really just totally fortuitously played right into that sort of concept. And so we decided we wanted to connect the two, but it just goes to show you, like, ooh, we mostly knew what we were doing as we went, but like it kept changing too for us. Yeah. So it was as much as an adventure for us as it was for you all.
Yeah,
rolling with the punches, the hallmark of a DM, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's a testament to just how well everybody collaborated and coordinated together, and the the power of you guys' teamwork. Because as a player, I don't think anybody. I shouldn't speak for myself. I don't think anybody could tell that shit was changing on the fly like that.
Great.
although you wouldn't have seen the number of times either Corey or myself were in our group chat, and usually Max saying something in a channel about Alter Deep, and we were just like, God damn it, Max, shut up.
Stop.
And touch it. Just like clear, he had no
hours
idea.
Of silence in the chat room because someone said Ultra Deep, and we're like, I can't say. I'm not feeding this.
No,
don't touch it. Just leave it alone.
Yeah. Oh.
That's really good. Did you have any? Well, okay. So you guys kind of alluded to this a little bit, but can you get to a little bit more specifics on any ideas that you abandoned, like specific ones for the stream for whatever reason?
Emic Froon. I loved the side quest of Emic Froon. There's no way to flesh it out in the few sessions that we had.
Yeah.
I mean, it was on all of us to be able to do that in Chapter 2, and all of the materials were there, and we had to build up the tavern and or the Troll Skull to whatever we wanted to be. But you're supposed to have this villain rival of for your tavern, and it just doesn't come into play when you're dealing with all the guilds or the goblins or whatever you're up to in the neighbors in Troll Skull. It just fades to the background so easily. So I would have liked to see more about that.
I mean, I had a bunch of them. I really loved what's Fala and Avi and Embrick. I just love all of that dynamic. But I also have to say, like, one that doesn't necessarily have to play a huge role in the adventure, but I have always loved the idea of the very powerful spellcaster. I really love Vajra, the Blackstaff. And there's a lot of great information about her in this book, and I just happened to, right before we started the very first episode, I read one of Ed Greenwood's books called Blackstaff, which has a lot about her rise to be the Blackstaff, how her mentor, the previous Blackstaff, was assassinated, and anyway, and I think she's super fascinating, and I loved every time I got to, like, interact with her and have the characters interact with her at all.
Yeah, Vajra was super cool. And yeah, we only, like, scratched the surface with her, it felt like, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that really didn't get a chance to go deeper because we were trying to keep pace with each other, and so it was this game of, like, oh, where did you guys get this week? Well, I need to either speed up or slow down, or, like, when we missed a week, my group missed a week at the very beginning, and I was like, okay, we're going to flash from Yawning Portal into the Sewer Dragon, all, like, Starscreen it, just, here we are. It was, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I wish we had a chance to, I mean, none of you got arrested, or at least permanently, which there were a lot of times I wanted to. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but there were so many times. Charming at children, Corey.
Mm,
Yeah, certainly in my game, in that encounter chain sequence, one of the encounters. So you guys went underground, and the Dweragar Xanathar guild boss basically has a fake stone, and you're then supposed to be like all dejected and leave and have no idea where to go, except you know that you were going to meet Laryl Silverhand, who is actually Charlaxle, at the theater. And he's supposed to pretend to be someone entirely different, and then tell you that the dude Fenris Stormcastle is in jail in the courthouse, and then you go there and have to convince. It was this big thing, and I was like, A, my group's not going to get through that. B, I can't have my group, who are all quasi-criminals or criminally adjacent, just walk into a courthouse to interrogate a prisoner. Yeah. So, but that was one of the strengths of having the meta plot that we did and the glitching, because we could use the glitches as plot elements to get people in weird places and just tell our players, like, something real weird's going to happen. Just roll with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's actually another question I have. But the next one I'm going to ask, to go ahead and move on, is what were you most nervous about with this game, especially knowing that you had this wild ending coming down the pipeline?
Oh, that the players would hate it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
That was my biggest fear, going into like starting with Eugenio's and then like all through, and that would just be like that players were just like flip a table. Like, so we tried to work really hard to make sure it felt like you accomplished something and that it was real. We didn't want it to be like you wake up on the Starship Enterprise and it's all about a simulation. We didn't want it to have that feeling, but that's hard to execute. So
it is, particularly in the limited time that we had in one, regular length episode finale, to get you through, have you finish the adventure in a reasonably satisfying place, which was TPK for some of us, and but to sort of wrap that and then still have time to explain enough of this bizarre ending to make it make sense, make it feel like there was a purpose to everything that you did. That was what I was most nervous about, was in particular the sort of organizing of that, not forgetting something really important, fitting it all within a 2.5, 3 hour block, and making sure that you guys felt good, right? Like, it was such a shock ending that like a viewer who's just watching would be like, oh, that's not, but we really wanted, like Dan said, we wanted you all to feel also fulfilled, because it was 12 weeks of a lot of fun, but you deserved a good ending too.
My favorite, my favorite thing to worry about, I guess, was 12 sessions. Entire hardcover in 12 sessions. And not only was it not 4-hour sessions, which is already half my normal DM time, but a 3-hour session. And players with something going on right after stream that they had to get out of there. So pacing was definitely a lot faster than I was used to. So yeah, I was constantly worried about characters not getting the development, the personal fulfillment out of their characters. But my group was amazing, and they soldiered on and had great character moments. So
yeah, I think
I learned a lot.
Yeah, I think that was a big thing for me. One was just streaming DMing for the first time. That was a big thing for me. Actually, my first campaign finish as a DM, so that was another thing. But also working together, because once we brought you guys all to the same reality, everything had to be the same at that point. We couldn't mess around anymore with, oh, that was just a weird glitch, or it's not the same person or same NPC because it's in a different reality. Now it's all the same reality, and everything has to finally start congealing together. So I think that was a big worry. Just coordinating all of that was a task.
Yeah, I sort of got the easy end of the stick there because I started it. So regardless of what we talked about, what I said was what it was. I don't think I changed anything too huge in the moment.
No, and we talked about having like some of the bits of like deeper reveals beyond the base level that each of us would like add a little bit as we went. So like I added that Troll Skull Alley had additional buildings in it now. They're not Troll Skull Manor, but they're like similar buildings to reflect, the impact that what was happening is real. It wasn't a simulation. And we definitely have to thank Corey for the magnificent Hallister monologue, because that was 100% Corey's putting that together. It was fantastic.
Thank you. No, that was. I love villains.
Yeah, your laugh at the end was great. I can say as a player, and I see it's echoed in the chat too, that it didn't make me angry. Which again, another testament to the great work that you guys did with running this whole thing and weaving it together into the beautiful tapestry that it is. I'm going to go ahead and move on to some questions about how you guys customized the adventure for your groups. And I've been forgetting to mention who these questions are coming from. I want to give props to those people, especially if they're in chat and they want to expand on those questions. So this one comes from a couple of different people, including Alex from the summer team and Allison from the winter team. How did you decide what elements would cross over into other games? For example, Roadkill, the gazer with the dagger in its eye, the fabric of many fashions. Yeah, I think I'll stop there.
So I think I stole Roadkill because Eugenio did such, and there was no way I could replicate it, but I wanted that little touch because he had made that from just a familiar into like a very memorable NPC essentially on the game. And I think at that point, had we already, or was it after that we crossed over the fabric of many fashions the other way?
That was after.
Yeah.
Roadkill appearing came before the fabric.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The first glitch was the tavern fight where we had Sturgis bouncing between. The second one was Roadkill, and being on I think 3 out of the 4, maybe all of them. I think, did we all have Roadkill?
Yeah, I think
no.
We talked about
we
if
did
anyone.
I did not bring Roadkill.
I don't think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we had said anyone who at least met Vajra, because we were going to have that as a bit of a touch point that Vajra knew something was up.
I did. We met Vajra and I had Roadkill. I forgot about that.
Go. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
I forgot, and it's been a long stream.
And then after that, we had the dagger sticking out of the gazer. So yeah, I think we all sponsored one particular crossover event that went into the other streams.
Yeah,
it just worked out that way completely naturally. I wish I could say that we had planned that one, but we all had these.
You would be lying, but you can.
We totally planned it, and we had this long discussion. It was like an hour and a half, and we decided this is the token of our channel.
Taryn, did anything come from the summer crew?
I'm trying to think of anything in particular. I mean, the gazer sort of became our mascot reappearing thing, so that sort of that definitely became our roadkill, as it were, for a bit. Just having it pop up in different places and sniping a scarecrow at one point.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think both of us had originally intended on like using gazers hardcore in our streams, and I wanted them to be like the cats of Waterdeep. And then the grumble happened, and it was like, well, okay, well, that's done because now we've got this thing, right? So
yeah, the cats were definitely the strays of Waterdeep that we adopted for the Autumn team. Probably one of my most favorite things.
Adoption became a big thing in like lots of the streams, obviously to like a far greater extent, I think, in both spring and summer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Habitual adoption is what I'm calling it now. The groups, just anything that seemed a little bit out of place or needed a home was just yoink.
Yeah.
Loose end, come join the tavern.
Yeah.
Anything not attached to a surface was adopted. Does anyone else have anything else to say about that? Are you dying to get out? No. Cool.
I got one question for you guys around that adoption thing.
Yeah.
Anybody else do a robot voice for Nim?
No.
No, I actually specifically made it speak in a sign language out of the book.
Yeah.
And like had people roll to like pick it up. So
Yeah.
I watched your stream on Saturday and Nim had a voice and I went, wait, what? I didn't realize that was an option.
Yeah, you had a knife sharpener too.
Yeah, I did see that part.
Yeah, in mine, Nim made just like the one appearance in the attic, and my crew was like, okay, bye.
Yeah, actually, that reminds me. That was a question I wanted to get onto the list, and I forgot about it. Next question for you all. So, this is about the keys. Are the keys to get us into this damn vault? So we know that they were all of them were different for each team. Was that part of the adventure? Did you all customize those for your teams? And if so, why did you make the decisions you made, the choices you made?
Yes, and yes. There is a table in the book that gives, I don't know, like 20 different options or something to either roll randomly or choose from. And then I think all of us just picked, and Eugenio went off script.
Oh, you went very meta. I really liked it. You should definitely narrate.
I did, and I don't know how well you guys can hear me. I'm really sorry. My internet is I had to move to a different space, and apparently the internet's not great here. So can you all hear me okay, or am I really cutting out?
We can hear you fine.
Oh, great. Okay, great. Well, in that case, yes, I went very off script. I knew that my team would take forever to find any physical keys that I tried to get them to do, and we just didn't have time for that. And I also knew that there was a lot of feelings and secrets that they worked really hard on for their character backstories, and that I felt bad not including in some way because they all were really, really wonderful. So I went off script and made the keys a little more metaphysical.
I just picked mine straight out of the book based on things that they had seen recently. I wanted to spend more time in the theater and more time in the vault, and so just kind of budgeted my time towards them. Hey, reminiscent, you know what? I remember we just saw this thing, so they went and got it, and they knew where to get it already. And it led to some crazy adventures. They had to get a brass scale from the bottom of the harbor. That was a fantastic adventure of the Qualish device. I'm sure there's someone shuddering out there.
Kyle, Techno's called. He's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think the Bronze Dragon scale is the only one that was in 2 because I used that one as well.
Mm-hmm.
And for similar reasons, I looked through and I was like, oh, here's ones that can tie to characters pretty well. They're easy for them to get. And that's why we just went with that sort of narrative device. We sort of started in media res in front of the vault door and then said, okay, who went and got the scale or who got the severed drow hand from your prisoner in the basement? And then just let you narrate what happened.
Yeah.
Again,
for my group reasons. Oh, so go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say again for similar reasons. We needed to get to the vault and like be there, and I wanted to spend time in the vault. And so that's why I did it.
Yeah. For mine, again, sort of, I didn't have mine right out of the table in the book, but they all very much easily made sense for my group. They were things that had already interacted with, or sort of a way to tie in the Castellaners that they had just allied themselves with. Still patting myself on the back for that one. But yeah, that was fun. Getting them to ally with the big bad was anyway. But yeah, so sort of rewarding them, or at least sort of tying back the past aspects of their adventure to the keys with Nim, who they had adopted, or Falah, who had been sort of mentoring / employing / wooing Harmony. So I wanted to tie that in and sort of bring that a little bit to the forefront. And I actually was sort of looking for keys that I thought would be easier to nab and, like Dan said, get them to the vault a little bit quicker. Mainly because I thought I was going to be behind, and I ended up being ahead, and so we got the chance to run the entire vault dungeon. that next week, so which was really cool. But yeah, so
Yeah, so once everybody got like beyond the doors and into the vault, it looked like everybody's experiences in it was different. Was that intentional or just like happenstance?
yes.
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 Yeah, I mean, it was like we said, almost every decision that we made, we considered our players, and we considered the story, and we considered everything, but everything ultimately, I think, at least in some small way, came down to time.
Mm-hmm.
And so we all knew what was down there. We knew, at what point in the evening stream we had gotten to the dungeon. Like Taryn said, like his crew was ahead. So his version was the closest to what was actually in the book. I basically skipped all of it because feelings. And then Dan and Corey were sort of somewhere in the middle. But it was all, it was all spur of the moment, ultimately, at least for me it was. I had some idea that we were going to skip certain things, but the decision to what exactly was going to be included was all about sort of time and decided in the moment for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it was prep all of it and anticipate none of it would be the way that I would motto our entire experience.
I was gonna say every session? That's every session, right?
It's literally every session, yeah.
I actually added in the ring into the vault as well. And
yeah, that was nice.
That was some great shenanigans with Charm Person. But that helped eat up some clock time too, because they were gonna blaze right through that thing.
Yeah, and like I think we played it Corey and I played our vaults relatively straight. Corey added the ring, which added a significant amount of time. I removed the black pudding, and that was, I think, about it. I initially screwed up the fresco, and people were like looking at it, and then I was like, "Oh wait, this is supposed to charm them. Oh, this is perfect."
I love that mural so much. That damn fresco.
Oh, fuck that mural, God.
And in my group, luckily enough, it ended up affecting the grumble, and so it ended up being like another sort of good NPC moment. And definitely the vault was the most D&D session my group had through the whole run. As in just like overthinking everything that was simple and underthinking everything that was complicated.
There was one thing that did come up that wasn't in the book for mine, and that was the trap door that was supposed to be actually trapped. They had totally misread the puzzle and started just spewing secrets. And I was like, cool, that's it now. Like, they were like, I was like, okay, everybody needs to tell a secret now. As like each one, basically, as Alex said, they invented a puzzle on their own. And I just rolled with it. And I was like, oh, cool, I'm going to steal a Ohenia moment and make everyone confess.
I adopted your concept on that one and made them all come forward with something.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love the domino effect from each.
It was nice being first every week.
Yeah.
Just pull all of our good stuff out of Ohenia. The recaps, the outros.
The camera focus.
The Brady Bunch.
One of my favorites, Corey, when you did your add-on to Terrence with making them do everything, was like Lucien's confession, which amounted to like, we weren't really friends until like just now, basically. It was like, I didn't really care about you until now. And everyone's like, wait, that's your secret?
Oh, it was great. It was great.
To ask some more questions about the actual process of running the game and what that experience was like for you guys. What was this question actually comes from Alex from the summer team and Corey from the spring team. What was the most off-script thing your group did?
Oh my god!
Besides
everything,
besides all of it, what was the most?
I feel like the easier question is what wasn't.
What was the most on the rails thing they did?
Well, that I know the answer to very easily was Theron pretending that they came in the name of Lord Neverember, which he totally, which Max did totally off the cuff, but happened to actually be one of the possible solutions for the end that was in the book. That was the only, not the most, the only on-script thing they did. Gosh, their most off-script. Anybody else?
I got one.
Okay.
Yeah. Lucien playing a city guard.
Yes.
Oh.
That came up so much throughout the campaign. Almost every decision they made is like, hey, I'll just be the guard. And it almost always backfired. It was wonderful.
I was going to ask about that too, because I think I didn't necessarily pay enough attention in like your first session or whatever. Was Lucien like actually a city guard or just faking it?
No, she was actually.
That's what I thought.
She had been demoted. She had been up for promotion to sergeant at one point. Had this terrible situation of corruption and everything happening in her portion. Then busted to private and was just working her guard shift.
Oh, I love it. That's perfect.
She was actually derelict in her duties, and she was in the guard. She was in the yachting portal skipping duties right then. So it was great.
I think.
Go ahead, Knox.
Just to interject this real quick in case this helps anybody answer the question. I think another way to think about it is what's something that really surprised you that your teams did.
Yeah. So for mine, like my group was so. Actually, no. Yeah, totally. The thing that threw me the most was the absolute refusal early on to bite on any of the factions. like every 2 to 3 of the 5 people were like criminal middlemen, like dealing kind of with both factions potentially, like the Xanathar's Guild and the Zentarum. And so then when it came up to be like, you got to make a choice and like work for us and it's going to be good for you, I sort of just assumed that people would be like, yeah, cool. Nope, not at all. And just like that. And I was just like, okay, all right. I don't know. But then everyone still wanted to do the faction missions because people wanted to do the work, retain their independence and get paid.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that's probably what threw me the most, and then I had to like, okay, all right.
Taryn, do you have one?
Yeah, the thing that threw me the most, or at least surprised me, this is just completely was a very my group moment. They had a picnic waiting for it to go into night so they could, like, in the City of the Dead, they were just like, well, it's the middle of the day and we kind of want to break in later, so like, let's just have a picnic and like watch the drift globes come in and like have like a romantic, intimate friendship moment of just like eating and drinking together. And just also his for adopting the Stone of Galore was also a moment. Just like teaching him about omelets and all sorts of things definitely was not expecting that.
But so on brand for his ver.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah.
If I had heard that earlier, I would have adopted the omelets thing into my stream so fast.
Yeah, Nim only made omelets. That was his thing, and he like cut them into like dice shapes. So it was like, like 6s and then like D8s and then just working his way up.
I guess I had a string of like small. I stopped expecting much of anything, but I had a string of things. Most of them were Syl related. I thought that I had done a really good job of like very subtly guiding the crew to not go into Grelhund Manor because we super didn't have time for that. And they made a plan, and they were gonna scope it out and then go to the guard. And then Syl was like, "Nah, fuck it, I'm going in." And I was like, "Whoa!" So there was that. There was Syl deciding that she was going to throw herself off the staircase to try and catch Rocky, because I was like, shit, it's not actually Rocky, but if you die, you're actually going to die. So that was super fun. Yeah, it was a bunch of like little things like that where it's just like, oh, you guys.
Is there anything you would have done differently in a home game versus it being streamed? And this one comes from Nat from the Spring Team.
I've got one instantaneously.
Yeah.
The end of my encounter chain was supposed to wrap up with the group getting arrested and thrown in jail. Like that was how it was supposed to end, and then they were supposed to like run into Willifort, who's like the butler of the Castellaners, like disguised as a guard, and like he was supposed to like bust them out and then turn on them to take the stone, and basically have them have to fight guards, and or end up in front of the judge. And my group was not going to get out of that not getting sent to a prison camp or getting sentenced to death.
Nope.
There was no way that my group was just going to be like, yeah, this is cool, we'll just roll with it. They would have busted out of jail. They would have killed people. They would have tried to charm the judge. Like, there was so many things that could have gone wrong there that I would have run in a home game to see what would happen, that I couldn't on stream because it had to end like everybody else's. They had to get to the vault. They couldn't just stop.
Plot armor.
There is absolutely nothing I would have done differently on my stream. I think it was exactly the way I would have hoped it would have run in a home game. It was great.
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked a little more time to explore some of the things that we explored, but like I agree with Corey actually. Like, for all that we talk about, like we made this choice and that choice because of time, I think you guys were such good end game players that like made it. That
make me look bad. Thanks, guys.
Stories, yeah.
Make me look bad. I really appreciate this in front of my players, because I had an answer to it, and you guys are all like, "No, my players are perfect."
We're
just 100%.
We just make sure we at them to get them in here for the
right.
Under the bus.
Yeah, no, I'm out, guys. This has been great.
Bye.
Yeah.
We'll see you in season 2, Taryn.
Yeah, I've been running like West Marches for so long that there's enough similarities on how I run stream games in terms of time and things like that. That there wouldn't have been like a whole lot of changes. I'm pretty used to adapting to be like, no, that's just not gonna work. Yeah, really, I think the only thing I would have ran differently in a home campaign would have been what I said earlier. Like, I would have expanded on a few places. I think I would have had more foreshadowing about Jarlaxle. Like, I would have had the Drow showing up much more. Yeah,
I would have taken the party out and done something outside of game.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, right. Yeah. I think we could all agree on that one. In a home game, you got that chance to really bond with your players outside of the game. And I think that's probably the only thing that we would have done.
Yeah. Our aftercare at the end of the thing would have been getting drunk instead of talking for an hour.
That is one thing. We need to have variant roles con.
Yes, VRCon.
Yeah.
Yes, VRCon. We won't get anyone confused there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
everyone should have their Oculus and stuff. Just
VRCon. We get. Yeah.
So thanks, Dan, for mentioning aftercare and that fucking wild ass ending. Throughout the game, it feels like you guys were dropping hints that alluded to what was coming. Can you talk about some of those hints or clues?
Oh, we thought for a lot of it, we were trying to really make sure that we didn't overplay it. We actually thought that maybe in a few cases we were making it too obvious. Not like what the exact details were, but like just that like this is messed up. I mean, I had in my game literally one of the characters glitch out in front of everybody and be replaced by a totally different person. And he had visions of what had happened in other sessions that I gave him. I think Taryn, you had some similar stuff with Hisver, right? Tapping into his divination stuff.
Yeah, and that was one thing that I think Matt really took on his own, was he was playing a div wizard, and so he sort of just was tied into the outer realms or the time around him, and so he kind of just and that's a testament to Matt, really, was he just played that super well to, okay, I'm going to take little hints of things that happen on other streams, but not overhand it or ham it up, and sort of just was able to tie it in well. And so I sort of started to play into that with certain things that he was like visions he was getting, or like having him roll Arcana to sort of feel like he was getting some sort of reading or that sort of thing. And the one thing I played up with the Harmony was a Horizon Walker, sort of a Planeswalker Ranger. And so sort of having her kind of, and her organization, the Rebel Enclave, using the glitches to actually do certain things. So
So at the beginning of the game, there was an illithid.
Nihilure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
So
now?
in addition, he's actually there.
Oh, he
That's-
is.
That's
Yeah.
right in the book. Yeah.
Oh.
But he leaves, right? The idea is he's there, and then he just decides to leave his lieutenant to handle things because you're not worth his time. But that's one of the areas where I was like, oh shit, what happens if the group just attacks him, right?
Yeah. Force him to engage. Yeah.
Because the Illithid could TPK everyone in that room. Like one mind blast, failed saves, and it's not even like down making saving throws. That's enough to just annihilate you flat out.
Mm-hmm.
I had Nihilure detect my party ahead of everybody, like sort of caught gaze of them at the foot of the stairs over the top of his lieutenant, gets up and just abandons him, walks straight out before the party could even really react. But Xanathar being the ultimate villain and that Nihilure moment really was what tied everything together.
Yeah.
I think, that was Xanathar and the Mind Flayer. That is the ultimate hint towards Alter Deep.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what's funny is we sort of knew that, but again, at that point in the stream, because that was what, week 1 or 2, at that
like
point, our idea for the ending was different. So our original plan for the ending was that the Xanathar was sort of behind everything. This is a very basic version of what we talked about for a long time, but was that Xanathar was sort of behind everything, and that he was searching for the Horde and he had managed to find a way to use the ability that beholders have to create new beholders by dreaming them up. And he had managed to channel that into dreaming 4 different realities, right?
Yeah.
Where the adventurers were, so that he could figure out where the vault was and make that reality and then get the gold, right? And then obviously that changed to involve the Mind Flayers more and to ultimately involve Hallister sort of mucking things up. But it's funny because a lot of the things that we did in terms of dropping hints fortunately worked in both situations, but like we had to a little bit shift the nature of the hints as we figured out that we were going to link it to Mad Mage.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the original planned finale, if we had been able to pull it off, and again, it would have been super difficult, but without Mad Mage coming out, which I think we felt that it made our job a bit easier, would have involved a finale that was like a showdown in the vault against the Xanathar involving all 4 teams. And we were like, but we can't schedule everyone to play at once, and so that's hard to like manage an encounter that's happening in different stages. But that was a loose idea we were iterating around initially. Would have been like one showdown with everyone in the vault, and possibly like Xanathar sort of split into like 4 lesser beholder copies or something.
My thought was that he would retreat from vision to vision, from party to party.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. There was a lot going on behind the scenes that never really touched the light of day or the light of stream, as it were. So
Yeah, I can only imagine. So some of the other so here's some other things seem like they might have been clues, maybe. Well, this is the only one I can think of. And I know a couple of the teams had this. The only one I remember is the one from my game, which is that room that like phased out. It was beyond the room with the metal beholder being built, and then we go into this other place with the kobold, I think, and then I feel like I saw that in another one of the games. Was that also like a hint of like we have multiple realities going here simultaneously?
Yeah, for mine, because I knew going into that session that I needed to skip a bunch of things, because it was basically 3 different locations in the encounter chain after that where I was like, no, we've got to skip it for a variety of reasons. And so I had the idea of having it glitch, but have someone who had the highest like perception or arcana or something like overhear a voice talking about like literally resetting a simulation. So So yeah, that was one of those cases where I was like, this could be way too heavy-handed, because like literally the voice was talking about like resetting algorithmic optimization or something.
Yeah, I think if any of the players had figured that out, that there had to be cheating, because like that was such a fucking mindfuck. It's just like no way I would have ever guessed. It's all a dream. So now that we have we've wrapped all the games, we're closing the door on that chapter of our experience here at on variant roles. I think a lot of us are wondering, this question specifically comes from Allison for the Wonder Team, but I think a lot of us would love to know, what was you guys' favorite moments as DMs?
Oh, my hands down is the grumble. And okay, no, two things. One is the grumble and like everything through, because that was not planned. It wasn't even really planned on my part. It was just a character happened to take Goblin as one of their languages, negotiated with a Goblin. I was like, I'm going to play the Goblin's actually smart when he's not trying to speak a second language. And it kind of just snowballed from there. So that was totally improv, and those are my favorite things as a DM. And then Felrict. Come on, Felrict. He's such a great character. He's so empathetic. He's a good person to like get into, because he's actually a good aligned drow. He's not even neutral. He's legit good. Working with Jarlaxle, and that was even some of my first experiences as a DM of having sort of like romantic encounters and like things like that too. So I felt it just like it was a growing moment as a DM.
For me, I think it's it's got to be the wig shop and the sewer underneath. We had powdered wigs, and there's a necromancer who runs the shop right underneath the sewer below it, and we had Parisian powdered wig debutante skeletons that were sort of attacking the party, and I put a trapped door down there, and the look on the faces of the players as they opened this secret door, and there's like a disintegration ray just comes blasting out of the wall because they used Bigby's hand to open it, or Mage hand to open it up, and then they see these like skeletons in this room or behind it wearing powdered wigs. That was just epic.
Amazing.
And 100% attributed to the player's own creativity.
Go ahead.
Okay. So the emotional manipulator in me really loved Rocky's death scene, or Rocky's death scene. And you know why? Because Jonathan and I had talked a little bit about it. I knew actually way back, I had chatted with these fine gentlemen about, I happened to see in part of the winter section of the book about how you could replace a player with a simulacrum of them if somebody happened to miss a session. And at that point, I didn't know that Jonathan was going to be out. And I was like, oh, what a cool idea. But these guys are super invested. Like, I'm sure no one will miss. And then Jonathan happened to mention that that was his anniversary. And so I was super excited to get to toss that in. So Jonathan and I had talked a lot about it and talked about making it impactful, but neither of us really anticipated quite the full reaction that we were going to get. And of course, the plan didn't go off exactly as he and I planned, as most plans don't. But it was cruel but amazing to just watch how deeply affected the players were. Yeah. And I love that, right? Like, what are we doing? We're playing a game and telling a story, and yet, right? And I'm so lucky to have storytelling as part of a lot of my life as a theater artist and an actor and a musician. Like, I get to tell amazing stories 8 or 9 times a week, and I know that affects people, and it's designed to do that. And that's the purpose of theater in a lot of ways, is to affect people and to make them feel things and think about things, right? And how cool that we get to play this game and share it with people and affect them in equally impactful ways, just through the stories that we collaboratively tell, the 6 of us on any given night and the 24 of us over the course of a week. Like, that's super cool. And that moment in that session was a great example of that.
Yeah, that hit a lot of us, I think, even people in chat. viewers were like, "Oh my fucking god!"
Yeah. Yeah.
Terry.
Yeah. I'm going to take this opportunity to say, because I had the perfect group, because I didn't get to earlier because you all ambushed me. I think my group was suited really perfectly to my DM style, which is, maximum amount of fun, just sort of rolling with the punches, a lot of laughs, a lot of just quick, boom, 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 here we go. Everything's rolling fast. I think it was just very much just my group was suited to the way that I run games, and it was perfect. I think Harmony not taking any damage and never missing was ridiculous. The fact that happened, just like, I'm questioning whether I did a great job as a DM or a terrible job. Because I'm like, yeah, how did I manage that? And then just all of the inside jokes and stuff that came into my group, like DM Horse Garage, that has now apparently become very much a thing. But yeah, basically it was just, the whole thing, and just running the game with everybody and coordinating with all these wonderful gentlemen with superpower brains. Just planning everything was just great experience.
Yeah, thank you all again for doing such an awesome job and all of your behind the scenes scheming and in front of the scenes scheming, and giving all of us as players great memorable experiences that we are all now so sad to have to walk away from. I'm going to pose this last question not to the DMs but to our players in chat. This one actually comes from Corey, DM Corey, that is. Chat, where's your character going now? Are they going to stay in Skullport or in Waterdeep, or are they going to adventure abroad? Go ahead and post in the chat these last few minutes we have together for our roundtable. And while those roll in, we're going to go ahead and do some outros around the table. Dan, we'll start with you.
Sure. So yeah, as it says under my name at Madside DM is where I am. Mostly here on Variant Roles, obviously. Occasionally, something comes up somewhere else, but mostly here. Really excited for 2019. Laughing at you, Jenny.
I'm glad I'm watching you intently.
Yeah, really excited for 2019. Not just Mad Mage and continuing to work with these fine gentlemen and everyone else, but all the other stuff we're going to be bringing to the channel. So like new voices, new DMs, D&D. I'm going to be running Invisible Sun, Cypher, other stuff, and really just making this like a big, bright, shiny community full of fine people.
Yay. I can't keep it up, Eugenio.
That's okay.
But speaking of, go ahead and say your farewells, where we can find you, what you're up to.
Sure. So you can find my personal stuff at Eugenio_Vargas on Twitter, at Ugramio on Instagram. And then my actual play podcast, The Last Refuge, comes out every Wednesday. You can find it wherever podcasts are found. Our website, dndlastrefuge.com, on Twitter and Instagram at dndlastrefuge. And I am also really excited about what's to come with Variant Roles. Mad Mage is going to be great. We're planning some really cool stuff. I'm excited. And I have a few other projects that I haven't signed any NDAs. I ain't that fancy, but I shouldn't be the one to announce them yet. So keep an eye on my Twitter.
Yay. DM Corey.
Yeah, at DM Corey on Twitter, everywhere. If you look for me online, you can find me at DM Corey. Got a website out there, dreadvector.com. You can find my bio up there and everything. Mostly active on Twitter, and yeah, I'm active on Twitch for all kinds of streaming all over the place, here on Variant Roles and in some other places in the future, as well as on my own channel for at DM Corey on Twitch. So Lots of stuff in the future. No NDAs here either.
We ain't that fancy yet.
Everything
Yeah.
that I do is under hashtag FDAs, full disclosure agreements. So
I will say,
Phil, do
I
not
talked about-
sign Taryn.
I talked about this with some of the other folks the other day. I went to visit the Wizards office since I'm in Seattle for a few months with my show, and I had to sign an NDA to walk in the not to walk in the building, but to walk into the offices on like the third floor. It was the fanciest I've ever felt.
That's amazing.
And
hashtag
all of
jealous.
us were super. Yeah, I was going
Yeah,
to say
yeah.
we were all super jealous. It was like, God damn it,
The
Eugenio.
Swag.
Yay.
Yeah, the swag and all of it. I guess I'm last, right, Knox?
Yeah.
Once again, DM Horse Garage goes last. Yeah, I'm gonna steal that. That's now my brand. But anyway, yeah. So I'm Taryn at Tarzan Nosy on everything / only Twitter. So that's pretty much where you can just find me. 2019, really looking forward to Mad Mage, and then also playing some Cypher and Invisible Sun and all sorts of things, and then getting more heavily into content creation. I'm planning out a podcast because apparently that's a thing now. So, yeah,
Yay.
yeah,
Podcast. Nice,
yeah.
Taryn.
Lores and loggers, because that's the only two things I know how to talk about.
I love
Play
this
to
idea.
your strengths.
It's going to be
Holy
great.
shit.
Yes.
That's amazing.
And we will on that note, because we did announce it early on, but it hasn't happened yet. But we will release all of the audio
yes.
stuff for Dragon Heist in audio format as podcast form. So that will be coming. The finales are available on VOD right now. They'll be delayed until after the holidays to go up on YouTube, but they're still going to be VOD for another week, basically. They're all downloaded. I just have to edit and upload them to YouTube. Yeah, I think that's it in
Well,
terms of our content.
Yes. So yeah, super excited to see what else is coming up with VR and our VR fam, Variant Roles fam. I hope I can put some of my own shit
Absolutely,
on the channel.
yes.
I haven't actually streamed any homebrew content, and I really miss doing it. But it feels scary to do that. But I'd like to make that first time to be on Variant Roles. You can find me on the internet at Nox Noxua on the Twitters. Where I tweet about whatever I want, but especially game-related things. You can find me on here and some other shit in the new year. And then we have a VR baby. Yeah, so thanks everybody for stopping in. Thanks to the VR fam players that came and watched us and hung out with us in chat. It's super awesome. Thank you all for submitting your questions. Wouldn't be possible to have this great discussion without them. Again, thank you to all of our DMs.
Can we do the quick subscribe to the channel, follow the channel, go to patreon.com/variantroles if you are able.
Yes.
We've got a lot of cool, exciting stuff coming up in the new year. And
Check out our sponsor, Blue Apron. Sorry.
23andMe.
No, but we should call them. We're doing some cool stuff in the new year, and the more support we get, even if it's just follows on Twitter and follows on the channel, it doesn't have to be monetary. If you can't manage that, that's super fine. But just having you around, following our stuff makes a big difference, and will make it that much easier to get the word out and keep expanding in 2019.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Follow along with all of us, the Variant Roles Twitter. Retweet our stuff when you see it. Give us the support in the form of exposure and participation in chat. We want to get to know you. We want to play games with you.
Yeah.
So
And
on
thank
that
you,
note,
Hamura Jack, for the follow.
yay!
Oh, yay! It worked!
It worked!
But on that note, we're going to go ahead and bid you all farewell. Enjoy your holidays, and we'll see you in the new year. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks,
My
everybody.
son was waving bye too.
Aww.